right, we are live here on the podcast today. Hello, Carl.
Hey, Doug. How you doing, my friend?
Pretty good, pretty good. We got this things figured out, I do believe. Took a while, but we got her.
Yeah, it's 100% better than just even 2 weeks ago. So, everyone is.
It's just great. I'm happy about it, and like I say, I think it's going to be pretty good. We're going to bring our special guest on here, which is Larry from Back to the Future Radios. There's Larry.
Hey,
Hi, Larry. Yeah,
I thought I'd mess with you a little bit.
I thought you might be pulling something like that.
I still want to be off camera when it come up there.
So how you doing, Larry, this morning or this afternoon? I guess
I'm doing pretty good. Had my lunch, didn't miss that. And,
well, that's good. It's good.
Feeling pretty good. Just hanging in quarantine a little bit.
So we're just going to be three of us today. Bob's off shopping, doing something. I have no idea what he's doing, but he's
buying our Christmas present.
Well, I'm sure that's what he's doing. I got to turn my blanket back. So let's just sort of jump right in. We got some people on the chat. Carl's going to kind of watch that and monitor that so we can get some questions from the chat. Larry, what we want to ask you first is basically electronics. How did you get into it? Is it a hobby with you? What's the deal?
It is a hobby. When I was a mere child back in rural Alabama, we were sharecroppers, and so we didn't have much. And but my dad did buy a set of World Book encyclopedias for my sister, which is older, for her schoolwork.
Yeah.
It was the 1950s version of Google.
Yeah.
And so even before I could read, I would look through the encyclopedias. I just look at the pictures, still look at the pictures.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But in there was a radio, how to build a crystal radio. Well, when I got to where I could read and all this, I wanted to build that radio. And I worked on that for years and never built one. I didn't have any contact with anybody, no TV repairman or anything like that, or anybody in my family that even had a clue about it, So
right.
Later on, as I got up in high school and what have you, I got interested in CB radios, and so started learning a little bit about electronics there, and then progressed on into ham radio. And self-taught and everything. So I was working at a textile plant as a maintenance guy in electrical, and it was called an electrician, but it was like anything from electronics to boilers. So whatever anybody else couldn't fix, we were supposed to try to fix it. So I felt like that I needed some more education. So I went back to J.F. Drake Technical College in Huntsville, Alabama at night, and took electronics. And all of it was solid state stuff. There was no tubes, but what have you. But I've always been fascinated. I still think radios are magic. I just think they're magic to be able to receive stuff off the air,
That is, you're right about that, and it is kind of a special thing, and it is fascinating to wonder how this works. You kind of think about that.
Yeah.
But now you're into restoration of old stuff usually, I think, on your channel. I think Carl wants to ask you some questions about some other stuff on the radios.
Okay.
Larry, all of us have seen how your restorations, how you go through the electronics part and, take some stuff that's pretty rough and just bring it out and make it beautiful. One of the parts of that is, though, is when you're usually done, well, you're kind of doing it while you're doing the other thing, too. But I want to ask you about, where'd you get the skills to work on the cabinets to bring them back to life?
As I've said in some of my earlier videos, that cabinetry was my weakest soup on this whole thing. And I'd watch Don from Restore Old Radios, and he would take and replace a piece of veneer on a cabinet, and it's like, I can't see where he done that, and it's like, I've got to learn this magic. And so we were talking about this before airtime, but I went on the internet and was looking at veneer, how to finish radios, how to do this, how to do that, and everything like that. And there was hundreds of videos that had 100 different best ways of doing it. And each one of them was a little bit different. And I just went through them all and just started playing with the stuff and just see what worked for me. And one of the biggest things we talked about is the sealing the wood. Restoring a radio, most of the wood and veneer is already sealed. But when they're talking about sealing, you're talking about new wood. And I think Carl probably runs into this with guitars and working on guitars and stuff like that. If you're building guitars, I don't know if Carl ever built a guitar or not. He just looked like the type of guy that would build one.
I worked on a few, I could.
But the older wood and the older cabinets, unless you're replacing the veneer with new veneer, the wood really doesn't have to be sealed that much. It's already the fibers are already beat down and broken off, and what have you. But learning from Don it's an art thing, and if you look at a lot of people that do these. Mm-hmm. They've got painting in their background, painting, portraits, the Bob Ross, and it's tricking the eye into not seeing the lines and things like that.
The imperfections.
Yeah. Yes, which we're going to call them characters. But,
it's like magic, diversion.
It is. Look over here,
Yeah.
But it's just like when you do a painting and you do a radio cabinet, and I'll show my wife. She says, "Oh, that's pretty." I say, it's got, look here, it's got this dent here, it's got this blemish here, it's got. Well, I don't see that, and I'm going, okay. So I also learned quit trying to be a perfectionist with it, and just go with it. And most people won't see it, and even if they do see it, it's kind of like, hey, this radio's 85 years old. It looks pretty good for its age,
Yes.
And if it works, it's a bonus,
Yeah. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, talking about hobbies, not only do you like to work on radios, but Doug has some idea, where there he is, that there's another hobby that you dealt in real heavy duty. And I think he's going to ask you about that. Is that right, Doug?
Well, yeah, I kind of thought maybe we would broach that subject. Larry, in addition to electronics, radios, restorations, you like to run. And I understand you've got quite an ambitious challenge coming up here. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. My running, it came from just being on the farm, and if we went anywhere, we were walking, running, riding a bike, or whatever, And I remember as a kid, and the jogging of the '60s boom came out, and I had uncles and aunts, so they'd go out and they'd run a mile and a half or so every morning, and it was a boom. It was a fad thing. I tried it and liked it. It just okay. But I've been doing some adventure racing over the past couple of years, and from point A to point B, and so one of my goals in life has always been to hike the Appalachian Trail from Springer Mountain in Georgia to Katahdin, Maine, which is 2,193.7 miles or something like
That's
that.
a long way.
It is, and you end up having to live out of your pack, and and what have you. And it's a friend of mine that I used to work with years ago. We're running buddies, and we still know each other, still in contact. And I asked him the other day. I said, "Hey, have you ever thought about hiking the Appalachian Trail?" And he said, "It's strange that you bring this up." He said, "I've been planning it for 4 years." And he said, "COVID came up and I canceled 2020. I'm going back. I'm going to do it in 2021. Do you want to go with me?" I go, "Oh man." So tentatively we're signed up to leave April 4th, which is Easter Sunday. And we'll see how it all works with the COVID and everything like that, because there's 14 states involved here. So we may get the plug pulled beforehand, or we may get it pulled somewhere down the line. Who knows? But
yeah, well, speaking of the COVID, I think you've got a firsthand knowledge of that, don't you?
yeah, I've got 9 days experience. My wife and I both got COVID, having her symptoms 9 days ago. And I guess I locked up. I don't know. But anyway, I've got on Wi-Fi. That's a problem. Yeah. But we've got our first symptoms about 9 days ago, and so we're in self-isolation. And she seemed to be doing better than me. But it started out with me. Before I got out of bed that morning, I would take a deep breath. It was kind of be tight,
Mm-hmm.
And then I would be coughing, dry cough and everything like that. Then by the middle of that day, we were both aching. And so we decided to go the next day and get tested. And so we did. And sure enough, it was. And the symptoms have been there. Just about every one of them have been there, except fever. She had a little bit of a temperature, 100.2, but she took some Motrin. It went away. I haven't had any temperature significant. At 98 is about it for me. But I have lost my sense of taste and smell on day 5. Now she hasn't lost it yet, so she can tell me how good the cooking is now. "Oh, you should enjoy this. This is good." All right, I'm great.
Yeah, that's funny.
But the aches and pains are gone. There's still a little fatigue. I continued to run throughout there. Not like I had been doing the weeks before, but I backed it off 3 or 4 or 5 miles every other day or something like that. And put in about 12 miles last week, and I've got 8 in so far this week. But it's just the weakness is this, and but it hasn't been near as bad as a flu. And I've had some colds that's worse than this in the past. I never had a day, and she didn't either, where it's like, "Hey, I've got to go lay down. I just can't stand it." It never was that way. It was just trudging on through it.
Well, that's good. That's real good.
Yeah, it's a funny thing you mentioned this, Larry. But when we go places, if they're going to check you, they go up to your forehead and they see if you have a fever. And if they had did that with you, it wouldn't have. You'd have went in, you'd have been positive, and
yeah,
I'd have hacked all over them, wouldn't I?
yeah. I mean, but that shows that even though they're trying to do all this stuff, it's not the same for everybody.
Yeah, and in the beginning, I think a lot of people had fevers back in the spring, and this seems to be kind of different for a lot of people now. I mean, it's running wild here in Tennessee right now. I think they're getting 8, 9, 10,000 a day test positive.
Yes.
And but it is a serious thing. People need to take it serious, and we just feel fortunate and blessed that we don't have as severe symptoms as could be.
Right.
And we called the doctor and said, "Hey, look, we tested positive. What do we need to do?" And he looked at her records. He said, "Well, you're not diabetic," and he was really happy with that because he said that would be a real high risk right there. And so it puts a strain on the body, and if you've already got something going bad, going wrong with other parts of it, it puts that much more strain on it, and so it's got to be taken seriously and everything. So,
well, that's why I think I'd said something about this a while back. My mother tested positive, and she's 90, going to be 94 here very shortly, but she's in. Well, they said perfect health, other than being old and having a little dementia. You know what I mean?
right? Yeah.
So I don't think she ever had any symptoms at all, as far as being in it and everything like that. So it really affects you when you have other diseases, I think, along with it.
I think it just amplifies those diseases.
Yeah.
Puts that much more strain on the body.
Right.
It takes away. It takes away from. Now this is a world according to Larry, and I'm no medical expert, but it just it causes your body to lose those resources that it's trying to heal against the virus, and it just puts more stress on the organism, and then the other things are amplified that much more, and so.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I mean, that's
So Tennessee, Hills of Tennessee. You came from Alabama and went to Tennessee
with a banjo on my neck.
God, I wanted to say that so bad. You stole my line. No,
sorry.
I got to ask you about Tennessee. I see a lot of, especially YouTubers now. Of course, that they show up more people. Bus Grease Monkey just moved to Tennessee. Shade Tree Fix It Man, he moved to Tennessee. What's Tennessee got that everybody else hasn't got?
No income tax.
I wondered if you were going to say that. Yeah. Well, you got
my car tag. Now, when we lived in Alabama and we moved here from Georgia, we made a big long trip. I'd worked in nuclear power plants, so electronics wasn't what I did.
You're the one, huh?
Yeah, and but my car tag's $29 a year.
Wow.
When I was in Alabama, it was $200 something, based upon the value of the car.
Yeah,
and I don't know about Georgia.
That's like
Indiana's like that.
Prices,
Yeah.
Gee.
Yeah, and I mean, when we first moved here, it was $23.
Yeah.
And so now it's up to $29. But the sales tax may be a little bit on locally, maybe a little bit more than in other places.
Right.
And but state income tax, we don't have it.
I gotta say the weather's a little bit better down there too, isn't it? I mean, you get a little snow once in a while and a little cold weather, but not that bad, right?
Yeah, to the east, up in the Smokies, I'm about an hour. Probably less than that if you were to fly. To the east here is the Smoky Mountain, and it's about. I've always said you can go to Pigeon Forge in an hour and 15 minutes, and 3.5 hours to Gatlinburg, because it takes you that much longer to drive that extra 15 miles from Pigeon Forge to Gatlinburg because of the traffic.
Yeah.
But you get up in those mountains up in there, they get snow up that all the time. They've got some ski resorts up there. Sometimes they have to make their own snow, but they have some weather up there. Creeping over into North Carolina. Yeah,
that's good. So
Carl, it gets pretty warm too. It gets pretty warm in the summer too.
Well, that's I don't mind the heat. Carl, what do you got? Any more thoughts on questions and things like that?
I think we covered all of them.
Well, like I say, it's been a learning experience. If you will, though, you didn't cover too much about the hike. I kind of was curious. You said now you're going to be staying on the camping and stuff like that. You're not going to actually stay anywhere or anything like that. It's all going to be on the trail.
Yes and no.
Okay.
when I started wanting to do this like 15, 20 years ago, it's like, hey, can you get 4 or 5 months off from work? No. And resupplying, it's not like you're just going to pull up to a tree and buy a Big Mac,
Right.
And so in the earlier days, you had to plan this out, and you tell your wife on day 17, mail this box to this post office and to resupply.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now there's so much activity on the trail that there's places that's opened up, not right on the trail, but just right off the trail, and usually you can resupply in a town or a store or something every 4 to 6 days.
Well, that ain't too bad.
Okay. And then there's they have hostels, they have like bed and breakfast and hotels along the way too. So and one of the terms they use is you can do a Nero or a zero. And a Nero is a near zero day, where you hike 3 or 4 miles, get to town, then you spend the rest of the day resupplying, resting, stuff like that, and then get up the next morning and leaving. Or you come into the town and say, I'm going to spend a day tomorrow not doing anything. I'm going to resupply today. I'm just going to rest, catch up on home and things like that. And so really, my friend and I, we have not got a schedule that says, here's where we're going each day. This is how many miles we're doing. Then we're going from point A to here, to here, to here, to here. We're going to make this up pretty much as we go and take what the trail gives us.
Yeah.
And I think the frustration, if you don't make your goal for the day, disappointment comes with expectations. If you have low expectations,
you're not going to be disappointed.
You're not going to be disappointed. So
right.
We he's a good athlete. Now he's a lot younger than me. He's 61. He'll be 62.
He's a youngin'.
He's a youngin'. Of course, I'll be 66, and he's a better runner. He's better looking, and I'll just have to make up the difference in toughness. That's all I can do. But we're thinking we're going to be able to do at least 15 to 20 a day. Now that won't be every day, but just take our time. Just take our time. I'm having to replace all my gear. I mean, I've got all the gear to do it with, but it's like when I was younger, I'd go out and we'd do these section hikes, and I had 35, 50 pounds, and it wasn't no big deal,
Right.
Now I'm hoping to come out with less than a 20 to 25 pound base weight, minus food. So so I bought me a new sleeping bag, bought me a new pack, and a sleeping pad, and so far with the pad, the sleeping bag, the pad, and the pack, I'm less than 6 pounds. So
that's excellent.
And so I've got one more big item. The big three is the pack, the bag, and the tent. I'm going to buy a tent, and it's less than 3 pounds. So
excellent.
So
yeah, that's cool.
So let me ask you this as a final thought of mine. What's coming up next on the Back to the Future radios? And have you got anything planned for any new projects there?
They're all over here screaming at me. All of them.
Yeah. I hear them too. Yeah.
But I had, on my update, I said that I wouldn't be doing any cabinet work because of the weather, but
there you go.
I ended up doing a little bit of work on it.
Nice.
We had talked about the finish and what have you, but I ended up using Howard's Restore finish on it, and it turned out pretty doggone good. And so I'm just, and this radio, I think if y'all remember, a guy helped me make the trim work of one. I think it was the Philco Jr. He helped me make the trim, or was that? I don't forgot, but he helped me build. he has a woodworking shop, and he made the trim for me.
That's
And
good.
so he likes to work in his shop. So I'm thinking I'm going to give him this one for just helping me out there. And I need to start getting rid of some of these, you know.
All right. Well, that's good.
The next one that I think I've got coming, I'm thinking I've got a Philco 38-9. And it's there's another one that I'm really, it's a 3793, and it's one of the faux finish fronts. And y'all seen this one when I did this faux finish.
Yes.
I don't think this company's in business anymore that does these. So,
really?
So I'm going to, on that one, I am going to paint a faux finish.
That'll be fun.
Yeah. You know, it's another step in the journey. That sounds cool.
Well, yeah.
And so that, you know, Don at Restore Old Radios and I, we talked a little bit about, because he was on this one, he was encouraging me to paint this one.
Yeah.
Back when I was doing this, and it's like, yeah, I almost attempted it, but when I found that decal for $35, and it went on so easy. I mean, yeah. The video shows that it took me a long time to put it on, but I was just being real
particular. Yeah.
Real particular,
Yeah.
and I wanted it right. And
yeah.
But this gonna have.
Well, yeah, I understand what you're saying.
And also paint that on there, and so I think that's going to be a good one.
That's good. Good.
I'm looking forward to doing it. Maybe I can get to it before I leave in April.
Well, yeah. Can we expect any updates along the trail?
I haven't. There's people that I've watched their videos, and they update it just about every day on the trail, and I'm going, how in the world can you do that? You know, I'm not.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And so I may try to do some, you know, every bear attack or every blister or whatever. But I've got a blog site that I've done my running on and everything. Like most people don't even know it, don't even read it, but it's been out there for
I didn't
years.
know that.
Yeah, I didn't know it either. Do you want to kind of tell us where we can get a hold of that at?
Yeah, it's Run with the Snake at blogspot. Yeah, .com, I guess.
Okay.
And
Run with the Snake. All right.
Run with the Snake. So I got that nickname when I worked in nuclear power.
Oh,
and
Snake.
It has nothing to do with the trail. Has nothing to do with the trail.
Shoot. You talked a lot about Don. We're really hoping maybe to get him on here. He doesn't do a lot of personal type stuff, and
no.
But it would be really interesting if we could get that. It'd be kind of cool for me and Carl. I think we could do that.
I'm sure everybody want to hear about that too.
Oh yeah.
Now I wanted to mention something real quick.
Yeah.
I've been watching the comments, and I have not seen any pop up on my screen.
None at all?
None.
Okay, I got a bunch in here. Have you got have it set to chat or private chat?
No, there you go. It was on private chat, so I guess you're not going to get anything like that.
Well, I should have said something to you, but there really hadn't been any questions, though. Got a couple of people on there that's basically talking to me.
Yeah.
And I'm not really talking, so. Oh, that's Greg.
Yeah, Greg's here, all right.
Greg just popped up. Greg, you got any questions for Larry here? I'm sure you do. But anyway, like I say, we kind of want to do that, and like I say, it's going to be, Not really sure. Greg is probably one of the next ones to do it, and it may be after the holidays. I'm sure because he's visiting relatives now, and I think he's there for the holidays. No
Right.
questions.
Yeah, he said he's been here the whole time, but
Well, I hope he's enjoyed the. Hope they enjoyed the interview, and like I said, I certainly did. Learned a
yeah, me
lot,
too. Yeah. I
and
really like doing this one.
really appreciate you doing this, Larry. And
Oh,
kind
it's
of,
been my pleasure. I appreciate y'all taking the time to listen to me. I mean, it's
well, I mean, you're an interesting guy. You got a lot of interesting, um, you know, stories and stuff that you've done and been through the other all the stuff that you've been through, and like I say, that's always interesting to anybody, no matter electronics or not.
Yeah, and
yeah.
we're really glad to hear that you and your wife kind of kicked the butt of that old virus.
Yeah, right.
That's, really
Well,
glad to hear that you're feeling better, buddy.
yeah. Like I say, I think she done better than me, but it like I say, I've had worse colds, but this seems to have lasted a little bit longer. Didn't feel as bad as those colds, but it's the effects have lasted a little bit longer. And it may be just because I'm a little older than I used to be.
Okay, I see Ron C's got something there. Can you see that, Carl?
Yeah, he said it's nice to meet you, Larry, and he got on there a little bit late, but he really glad to see you here.
Thanks for joining, Ron. I appreciate that.
Yeah, Ron, I've followed Ron C. He's got some good stuff. He does a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, right. So again, this has been very interesting, very positive, I think, and like I say, we're happy that everything turned out well this time for the broadcast.
Yes.
And whoever want to thank again, whoever recommended StreamYard, I believe a couple of people I think did.
Right.
One of them was Dark Matter, and the other one was
I can't think of who the other people. They were saying
John
really
Sweeta. John Sweeta is what I think he was.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he was the other one.
Yeah, they
So
were spot on. This is it works so much better.
oh yeah, so Carl will be hosting next time. Whoever we do have, if it is Greg or whoever. So we're very happy with the way this is turning out. Again, Larry, thank you very much for joining us.
Sir.
It's my pleasure.
Very
And
much appreciated, my friend.
Yeah,
It's just a good community and a lot
Yes,
of
it is.
lot of support, and it's surprising that you don't get. And you and I have talked offline about this.
yeah,
We don't get any snarly remarks,
No,
as much as some of the other forums and things like that. And it's like everybody that watches this stuff can relate to it and say, it may not be exactly the way I would have done it, but it is a way of doing it, and they're
Right,
supportive, and they go on and they make good comments, and you can criticize people, but you don't have to be ugly. I mean, that's
Right. Yeah.
true.
so.
All right, well, I think we're going to end it here, and everybody, I think, got a good belly full of us. We're 33 minutes, I think, now. So you guys have a great day, and I really appreciate
Larry,
everybody.
thanks again, buddy.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
We will see you all later, and that's about it.
See ya.
Right.
See ya.